Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Emily and I have been together for 3 years. She's smart, beautiful, and has the infectious energy that I fell in love with the moment we met. When I proposed last year, I felt like I was on top of the world. We were both excited to plan the wedding, and Emily took charge of most of the details. She had a clear vision, and honestly, I loved how passionate she was about making our big day perfect. The only thing I noticed early on was how dead set she was on a specific date in April. I didn't think much of it at first. She said it was the perfect time of year, spring flowers, good weather, etc. I figured she just wanted to lock down the date before the venue got booked, so I went along with it. But as time went on, her insistence on that specific day started to feel odd. Here's where things started to unravel. A few months ago, my mom, 58 female, told us she couldn't attend the wedding if we stuck with the chosen date. She has a major surgery scheduled for that day, something she's been waiting over a year to get because of hospital delays. I thought this would be a no-brainer. Family comes first, right? So I brought it up to Emily, expecting her to say, "Of course we can change the date." Instead, she flat out refused. She told me the venue's availability was limited, and changing the date would throw off the entire plan. When I pushed back, explaining how important it was for my mom to be there, she shrugged and said, "Your mom can watch it on live stream." That comment hit me hard. My mom has always been supportive of Emily and me, and she's never been anything but kind to her. The fact that Emily could dismiss her like that felt cold. Last week, Emily's best friend, Sarah, 27 female, called me out of the blue. Sarah and I have always gotten along, and I thought she was calling to check in about wedding plans. Instead, she dropped a bombshell that's turned my entire world upside down. Sarah told me that Emily's insistence on the wedding date had nothing to do with the venue or timing. The real reason she wanted that specific date was because it was her and her ex-boyfriend Mark's anniversary. According to Sarah, Emily is still bitter about how things ended with Mark. He left her for another woman 4 years ago, and she's carried that resentment ever since. Sarah said Emily saw our wedding as a way to reclaim the date and prove she's better off now. I was speechless. I couldn't believe that Emily, the woman I thought I knew inside and out, would plan our wedding around a petty grudge. When Emily came home that night, I confronted her. I told her what Sarah had said and asked if it was true. At first, she denied it. She accused Sarah of being jealous and trying to sabotage our relationship. "She's in love with you," Emily shouted through tears. "She's lying because she wants to ruin us." But I didn't back down. I told her I needed the truth. Eventually, she broke down and admitted it. "Yes, it's Mark's anniversary," she said, sobbing. "But it's not about him. It's about me taking control of my life and showing that I've moved on." I was stunned. I asked her why she didn't tell me the truth from the start. If it was really about empowerment, why not share that with me? She didn't have an answer. That was the moment I realized I couldn't go through with the wedding. I told Emily I needed time to think and left the house. The next morning, I called the venue and canceled everything. When Emily found out, she was devastated. She'd been calling and texting nonstop, begging me to forgive her. She keeps saying it was a mistake, that she didn't mean to hurt me, and that Sarah is blowing things out of proportion. Emily keeps insisting that Sarah did it out of spite, and that she is really in love with me. She says Mark means nothing to her, and I'm the love of her life. But I can't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a lapse in judgment. Emily chose our wedding date for a reason that had nothing to do with us. She prioritized her unresolved feelings about her ex over my family, over my mom's health, and over our relationship. Now everything is a mess. Emily's friends are calling me cruel for embarrassing her by canceling the wedding. Sarah, who originally told me the truth, is now caught in the middle. Emily has accused her of lying out of jealousy, but Sarah swears she only told me because she thought I deserved to know. Even my own family is split. My mom and a few close relatives support my decision and think I dodged a bullet. But others are urging me to forgive Emily, saying that wedding stress makes people do crazy things, and that I'm overreacting. I feel like I've been living with a stranger. If Emily is capable of lying about something as significant as our wedding date, what else has she hidden from me? And if she's willing to prioritize petty revenge over my family's well-being, how can I trust her to make decisions for our future? At the same time, I still love her. 3 years together isn't something you just walk away from without a second thought. Part of me wonders if I acted too impulsively by canceling the wedding. Was there a way to fix this without ending everything? Emily says I'm overreacting, that I'm throwing away our relationship over one mistake. Her friends agree, and even some of my family thinks I should give her another chance. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for canceling my wedding after finding out the real reason behind the date? Or did I do the right thing by walking away when I realized Emily wasn't the person I thought she was? This isn't about a wedding date. It's about trust. Emily lied to OP about something significant, and she only confessed when she was backed into a corner. The fact that she prioritized a petty, spiteful motive over OP's mom's ability to attend the wedding says a lot about her character. Her crying and blaming Sarah are classic deflection tactics. Instead of owning up to her actions, she's trying to shift the focus onto someone else. OP is absolutely right to question everything. Marriage is built on honesty and partnership, and it doesn't sound like Emily has demonstrated either of those qualities here. Walking away now may hurt, but it's a lot better than realizing these patterns after you're already married. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Wow. Just wow. She wanted to weaponize your wedding to reclaim an anniversary from an ex? That's incredibly immature and unfair to you. A wedding should be about the couple, not a passive-aggressive statement about someone who isn't even in her life anymore. The fact that she dismissed your mom's surgery so casually is another huge red flag. That alone shows she lacks empathy and isn't thinking about what's best for your family. It sounds like she's more concerned with appearances and proving a point than building a future with you. You dodged a bullet. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but it's better to know now than later. Either way, not the a-hole. You're not just canceling over a date. You're canceling because of what the date represents. If Emily can't be honest with you about something as significant as your wedding, how can you trust her moving forward? Not the a-hole. Let's break this down. 1. She lied about why she wanted the date. 2. She dismissed your mom's surgery, which is a huge deal. 3. When caught, she tried to make Sarah the villain instead of taking responsibility. This isn't just a one-off mistake. It's a series of bad choices that show a lack of integrity and empathy. Don't let her guilt trip you into thinking you're overreacting. You deserve someone who values you and your family, not someone who uses your wedding as a way to one-up their ex. Update. Hi everyone. I wanted to provide an update because things have taken a very unexpected turn, and I'm more confused than ever. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your support and insights have been invaluable, but now I'm facing a new situation that's left me questioning everything. After I canceled the wedding, Emily and I stopped speaking for the most part. She sent me a few emotional texts and emails begging for forgiveness, but I stayed firm in my decision. I needed space to process everything, and the idea of jumping back into a relationship where trust had been so badly damaged felt impossible. Meanwhile, Sarah, Emily's best friend, reached out to me. She apologized for her role in all of this, saying she never meant to cause so much chaos. She told me she felt terrible about how everything had unfolded, and that she just wanted to make sure I was okay. At first, I appreciated her support. Sarah said she was feeling lonely too, explaining that she and Emily had fallen out after Emily accused her of sabotaging the wedding and being in love with me. Sarah insisted this wasn't true, and that she had only told me the truth because she thought I deserved to know. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and I started meeting up occasionally. She invited me out for coffee a few times, saying she wanted to be there for me during this hard time. I figured it was innocent enough. We had always gotten along, and it was nice to have someone to talk to who understood the situation. At first, our conversations were focused on the wedding drama and how we were both dealing with the aftermath. She shared how hurt she was by Emily's accusations and how she missed her best friend. I empathized, knowing how much Sarah and Emily's friendship had meant to both of them. But as time went on, the tone of our interactions started to shift. Sarah would occasionally make comments about how much she admired me for standing up for myself, or how Emily had never deserved me. I brushed it off, assuming she was just being supportive. Last weekend, Sarah invited me out for drinks. She said it had been a rough week and she could use a night to unwind. I figured it would be casual, just two people blowing off steam after a stressful few months. We ended up having a great time at first. We talked, laughed, and shared stories about our lives before everything with Emily. For the first time in a while, I felt like I could relax and forget about all the drama. Then, as we were leaving the bar, Sarah kissed me. I was completely caught off guard. It wasn't just a quick, friendly peck. This was a full-on romantic kiss. I pulled away immediately, stunned and unsure of what to say. Sarah looked embarrassed, but also somewhat defiant, as if she had been waiting for this moment. "I'm sorry," she said, "but I've had feelings for you for a long time. I didn't mean for this to happen, but I can't ignore it anymore." I mumbled something about needing time to think and left. Since that night, I haven't been able to stop replaying everything in my head. Was Emily right all along? Did Sarah tell me the truth about the wedding date not because she cared about me, but because she wanted to sabotage my relationship? Looking back, some of Sarah's behavior feels off. She reached out to me almost immediately after the breakup, framed herself as the supportive friend, and gradually became more emotionally involved. Was this her plan all along, or am I overthinking things? At the same time, I don't want to discount the possibility that Sarah's feelings developed naturally over time. She did lose her best friend in all of this, and maybe she genuinely didn't mean for things to get so complicated. But if Emily was right, and Sarah really did sabotage the relationship because of her feelings for me, then what does that say about everything that's happened? Did I make the wrong decision by canceling the wedding? I feel like I'm stuck in this web of lies and ulterior motives, and I don't know who to trust anymore. Update 2. Hi again, everyone. I wanted to provide one last update since so many of you have followed this story and offered your advice. After what happened with Sarah, I couldn't shake the feeling that something about her behavior wasn't right. I replayed all of our interactions in my head, and the more I thought about it, the more things started to stand out. Her eagerness to insert herself into my life after the breakup, her constant reassurance that I had made the right decision, and, of course, the kiss. It made me start to question her motivations for telling me about Emily's reasons for the wedding date. Was she really looking out for me, or was she trying to sabotage my relationship because of her own feelings? I decided to reach out to Emily. We hadn't spoken much since the wedding was canceled, but I felt like I needed to hear her side again without Sarah's influence hanging over me. When Emily and I met, it was clear she was still heartbroken. She apologized again for lying about the wedding date and explained that her intentions were never to hurt me or my family. She admitted that choosing the date had been selfish and childish. She also expressed how hurt she was by Sarah's involvement, saying she felt betrayed by someone she had considered her closest friend. I could see the sincerity in her apology, and I realized that while what she did was wrong, it wasn't unforgivable. People make mistakes, and I truly believe Emily has learned from hers. We decided to put everything on the table, to talk openly about what went wrong and how we could move forward. After that conversation, it became clear to both of us that Sarah could no longer be part of our lives. Whether her intentions were malicious or just poorly thought out, her actions caused unnecessary pain and confusion. We told Sarah that we wouldn't be in contact with her anymore. She didn't take it well, sending a string of texts accusing me of choosing the wrong side and claiming that Emily would hurt me again. But I ignored them. I realized that whatever feelings Sarah had for me, they weren't coming from a healthy place. Emily and I have decided to move forward. We've rebooked our wedding for a new date later in the year, one that works for everyone, including my mom. Emily has promised to put more effort into communicating openly, and I'm doing my part to make sure we're both building a partnership based on trust. It hasn't been easy, but I still love Emily, and I believe in us. Hope you guys support my decision. I, 29 female, have been married to my husband, 31 male, for 2 years now. His family is very wealthy. My family is upper middle class now, but we were poor for several years when I was young. I had a venture I started right after college, and my husband helped me with the plans and getting investors. It is very successful. Once I had the money, I paid off my student loan debt. I paid off my parents', 50 female, 49 male, debt as well. And my husband and I bought them a new house when they decided to move so they didn't have to deal with another mortgage. It was a gift. They have never asked or demanded anything of me or my husband. Problem is, they've been supporting my mother's family financially for years. My mother's family is a bunch of aggressive leeches. When I was born, they disowned her, amongst other things. There were times when my parents would forego meals for themselves and send them whatever was left in their accounts. My parents support them because they feel it keeps them from redirecting more of their hatred onto me. It doesn't. My parents refused to let me take over supporting everyone, but my Gma was working insane hours at her job to send money for her other two daughters to pay their kids' tuition. They said they had to send their kids to this school, despite not being able to afford it, because my mother got a scholarship to go, and they weren't able to. It had to be fair. Once I found this out, I couldn't stand by and let my Gma work herself to death for this, so I took on the costs about 4 years ago. The older one has 5 kids, the younger one has 3. The youngest of their kids is 2, and the oldest is now 17. I know it means the world to my Gma, so I don't complain. We flew to help my parents pack up, and my Gma and mom were on the phone with them. I heard my mom ask her younger sister what her eldest is doing for college, and she said he'd only be applying to the same school I went to, an Ivy League. My mom said great, but they're expensive and difficult to get into, especially as an international student. Her sister replied, well, he won't have to pay because OP is paying, and she'll write him a recommendation letter, so he's basically guaranteed to get in. My mom was shocked. She replied that I had no obligation to pay for his college and that I had done far too much over the last 4 years. I said that I'd like to have been asked, not just expected. She outright told me that I have a duty to the family and that if I said no, she'd simply ask my husband because it wasn't my money anyway. My husband shot that down immediately and said that we are a team and whatever I decide is what he will go along with and that the money that has been supporting them was mine alone. Everyone is angry, and my Gma is saying I should just do it. I could. It would not hurt us financially. But I'm tired of having them demand things and just be aggressive monsters in return. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I did explicitly tell my Gma and her daughters I would pay for the equivalent of K-12 schooling, because that's what my Gma had promised. I never said anything about college. Edit 2. They're not in the U.S. The rest of us are. Not the a-hole. Your relatives are, though. Also, your parents should have cut those leeches off. Just because your family made better decisions financially does not mean others should leech off that and let you and your parents pay for problems you should not burden yourself into. Also, if she wants to, your grandma should cut off said relatives too. Another thing is that I don't know much about Ivy League schools, but I do think they offer scholarships, so why don't your relatives consider that option instead of being parasites? Not the a-hole. But, OP, this is never going to stop. It's college. Then it'll be a home, car. Then it'll be a wedding. Then they'll have kids, and on and on and on. I understand wanting to help your grandma, but frankly, she's been allowing this her whole life, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. If it won't hurt you financially, I'd say your aunts or the kids each get one last lump sum to do with as they wish, and the gravy train is shut down. This would be best handed out at a family meeting, so everyone understand it's one more than done. You've worked hard and people aren't owed an Ivy League education. Millions of people live within their means and on a budget every day of their lives. Your extended family needs to do this as well. My brother is in his last year of his 3rd college degree. He already has BAs in the history of art and sociology, and in the spring, he'll finish one in communications. He lives with our parents and they pay his bills and all the college stuff his loans don't cover. He's never had a job before. My mom does all his laundry, cooking, cleaning, and general caretaking. My dad receives all his bills for his car, phone, and other stuff, and makes sure they get paid and makes sure his bank account has money in it. I can't even imagine how much debt he has or how much my parents have given him for college on top of his bills. When my parents went on trips before the virus, my brother would run out of clean clothes, and instead of doing laundry because he doesn't know how, he just bought new clothes until they came back. He didn't buy groceries, clean, mow the lawn, or do other chores. I moved out after I finished high school, so normally I mind my own business and don't comment on anything my brother or parents do. I live in another state, so it doesn't affect me at all. I didn't do any college, community college, or any other kind of schooling. I did an apprenticeship and became an electrician. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to college, but some people like me aren't cut out for it. The last time I talked to my parents, my mom told me my brother has been applying into graduate school master's programs for next fall. He wants to do it in sociology or librarian science, but he is still looking at programs. Two of the schools he wants to apply at are the ones my dad went to college and law school at. So, as legacy student, but he's looking at others to see who will accept him. I think my brother needs to grow up, get a job, and stop leeching off my parents. I haven't been supported by them since I was 18. I'm 30 now, and it's time he joined me. He's 29 now. But I didn't say that because, like I said, it's not my business. It was what my mom said next, though. She said she's happy to know that I'll look after my brother if something happens to them before he's done with college, or I'll help her and my dad if my brother gets too busy once he gets his high-paying job. I told my mom none of that is happening. I don't know where she got this. I'll never give them or my brother money. I said if she's worried, they need to stop enabling my brother's laziness, and if his spending drives them into ruin, it is not on me. I only said this because of what she said. Her and my dad are young, 51 and 56, but if my brother keeps bleeding them dry, they'll be in trouble later on, but they are making their own beds. My brother won't be raking it in if he ever gets a job. My mom told my brother and dad what I said. All of them are PO'd at me, but I was only speaking the truth, and I only said something because of what my mom said first. They want me to say sorry and retract it, and think I'm jealous of my brother's degrees, which is not true in the slightest. Not the a-hole. I also sincerely hope no one marries your brother, because that will be a full-time job caring for a child who will never grow up. Not the a-hole. Mom at least already realizes what they've created. If she is assuming once he gets a highly paid job, I'd love to know what job she thinks he'll get with the degrees he has. He won't help them. She's trying to lay the groundwork for you to do so, and good on you for setting that straight. Not the a-hole. It's on them if they enable him at their own expense. But they certainly have no right to rope you into this or treat you as if it's your responsibility to cater to him should a bad situation arise in their future. Not the a-hole. They are all grown adults, not children. Why would you need to look after your brother if something happened to them? If he has a high-paying job, he can pay people to do those things anyway. At the end of the day, you don't need to look out for them because their life choices left them with very little, or because your brother doesn't know how to do it himself. I think you did the right thing setting that boundary now. My family has a mausoleum where most of my deceased relatives, from my grandfather's generation to ours, are interred. It's where my Uncle Ben, my mom's oldest sibling, is interred. His wife, Aunt Tina, recently died, and most of our and her relatives assumed that she would also be laid to rest in the family mausoleum, but my mom and aunts refused. Uncle Ben and Aunt Tina didn't have children, but they supported Aunt Tina's family, who were not so privileged. Uncle Ben bought houses for Aunt Tina's siblings, sent their kids to school, and paid their monthly bills. In turn, they ran errands for them, drove for them, and cleaned his house. My mom and aunts had an axe to grind about this, because Aunt Tina's siblings never looked for actual jobs. They just continued to depend on Uncle Ben, even when his businesses were no longer doing well. When Uncle Ben got sick, my mom and aunts urged him to stop supporting Aunt Tina's family and save money for himself because his treatment was expensive. Aunt Tina got angry and told my mom and aunts to mind their own business. My aunt said that if she really cared about Uncle Ben, she wouldn't have let her siblings leech off him for years. Not so nice words were thrown back and forth, and Aunt Tina and my mom and aunts have hated each other openly ever since. When Uncle Ben died, he was in debt, and one of my aunts ended up paying his hospital bills. A year later, at a family event our relatives invited Aunt Tina to, she introduced her new boyfriend, calling him the greatest love of her life. My mom said that she was shameless to say that a guy she has known for a year is her greatest love, and not my uncle, who she was with and supported her family for years. Aunt Tina said she was allowed to move on, and her romantic life was none of my mom's business. Aunt Tina died recently from an accident. Her relatives and some of our relatives think that she should be with Uncle Ben because she was Uncle Ben's wife and part of our family. She took care of him when he was alive, and he did love her dearly. My mom and aunts contend that it would be an insult to Uncle Ben to have her there because she and her family just took advantage of him when he was alive, and she herself said that the greatest love of her life is her new boyfriend, so she can be buried somewhere else where her boyfriend can be laid to rest with her when he dies. Aunt Tina's relatives say that my mom and aunts are keeping Uncle Ben and Aunt Tina apart because of their personal beef with Aunt Tina, and that Uncle Ben would want her to be in the family mausoleum with him, so it's my mom and aunts who are disrespecting Uncle Ben. Thoughts? When Uncle Ben died, he did so still in love with your Aunt Tina. On that basis alone, Tina deserves to lay and rest next to him. However, Tina died no longer in love with your uncle, and all bets should be, off. I think I'm siding with your mom and her sisters. No Tina in the family plot. I don't think that's what your uncle would want, but I get where your family is coming from. No a-holes. I understand both sides. Mausoleums are for the living and future generations. The dead probably don't care where they end up. It's your family's mausoleum. If interring Aunt Tina there would cause grief for members of your family, then I say keep her out. Aunt Tina's family doesn't have a say. This is so complicated, but I'm going with no a-holes. While I think Aunt Tina behaved awfully, allowing her family to take advantage, moving on, and referring to her new partner as the greatest love of her life, or whatever, I think in the context of whether she should be interred with Uncle Ben, there are merits to both arguments. I suppose it comes down to what you think a family mausoleum is for. Is it to remember your ancestors, because she isn't one to any of your future family? Or is it to ensure you're all together after death, etc.? Because as you say, Uncle Ben would want her there. I don't think that her family took advantage of him, because he was alive and allowed it. If he was content with it, I don't see a reason I, as a complete stranger, shouldn't be. I do take issue with her describing her new partner that way, though, because, holy crap. All in all, I don't think anyone's an a-hole either way. It's just a matter of perspective. There's me, 26 female, middle sister, 27 female, and older sister, 32 female. The ring is a large solitaire diamond in the middle, with 8 tiny diamonds in a halo around it. Our parents got divorced years ago, and Mom got the ring. Dad stole it. About a year after they split, me and middle sister were at Dad's house. Oldest was in college already, and I was raiding Dad's coin jar for some quarters. Out comes the ring. I steal it. When we went back to Mom's, I gave it to her, and we sat and talked about everything going on. Mom and I have never really seen eye to eye because we're just so different. She even admits she never knew what to do with me growing up because of how different we are. And this was the first time we really bonded, and now we're pretty close. Few years later, Grandpa dies, has no will. Mom and Uncle had a crap time trying to get all his stuff sorted out, and my mom realizes she wants to get her own will together. She mentions to me that she's splitting everything evenly among me and my sisters, but she's leaving me the ring because I got it back for her, and that was the start of us getting closer. We didn't discuss details, like if I get it only when she dies, or when I get engaged, or anything like that. Oldest sister just got engaged. She asked my mom for the ring to use, and my mom says she has to ask me because she told me the ring would be mine. I said that while I know it's hers and she can do what she wants, it would really upset me if she gave it to oldest sister after saying she would give it to me. Mom tells oldest sister no. Oldest sister calls me to ask, but I still said no. She asked about splitting the ring. I don't know the right term, but like we each get stones from the ring to add in our own rings. Between us and middle sister, so we all get a piece of Mom's wedding ring. I still said no, because I like the ring the way it is, but also because I know she wants the solitaire diamond in the middle, and I would be left with just 4 tiny diamonds from the outer band. I may be an a-hole here because of the 3 of us, I'm the only one not in a relationship, much less engaged, so it's not like I'll need the ring anytime soon. And I'm not willing to split it with them so we all get a piece. I may be even more of an a-hole, because even though I like the ring, it's not really my style, so I don't know if I'll even use it as my wedding ring in the future, and I just want it for the sentimentality. Not that I've told anyone that part. Oldest sister is obviously pissed and thinks I'm a massive B. Middle sister thinks I'm a B for not giving up the ring to oldest, and Mom doesn't like that we're fighting over this, but she understands where I'm coming from and wants us to figure it out ourselves. I'm really struggling to see past my own emotions here, even more so because to my sisters, it's just Mom's wedding ring, and I feel like it means a lot more to me. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. There would be no ring to fight over if you hadn't found it and taken it back for your mother. She promised it to you. It is yours. Not the a-hole. If the tables were turned and the ring was promised to her and you asked for it because you got engaged first, she would probably be pretty upset and say no. It doesn't matter who is oldest or who is engaged. The ring was promised to you, so if anyone other than your mother is going to have it, it should be you. Not the a-hole. Your mom said she was going to give it to you. When asked for the ring by your oldest sister, she said she would have to ask you. Your mother clearly intends for you to decide the fate of this ring, since she was going to give it to you. Therefore, the decision is up to you. It doesn't matter what you plan on doing with the ring or not doing.